Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? Let's get this started. I am going to let you guys know right now. This is going to be a disturbing live. This is going to be a viewer discretion is advised type of live. So I just want to give that warning out. Although it is late, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully, your children aren't still around. But if you do have little ones around, maybe you're in another part of the world where it is daytime right now, please get your children out of the room. I'll give you a moment to do so. We'll go ahead and get this started.
We take you to San Antonio for this story. 57-year-old Patricia Martinez was disabled and bedridden in her home. Her three children, Oscar Dominguez, Pedro Carrera, and Roxana Carrera, were supposed to be taking care of her. Investigators say they essentially ignored their dying mother. Police were tipped off to horrific living conditions at the woman's home last week. Now, once they arrived, they found insects infested all around her bedroom, and the woman actually had mold. Hear me, mold growing on her skin. Patricia Martinez.
Again, viewer discretion is going to be advised on this one. Okay. Um, so this story is actually coming, unfortunately, out of my home state of Texas, and so I think these three could be charged with even higher crimes than what they're currently facing. Let's start off here by checking out here the actual news report that was done on this story about how these three grown children, neglected their mother so horribly.
An update now on a severe case of elder neglect, with 3 adult children arrested for their alleged part in it. Today, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office has confirmed the 58-year-old mother, Patricia Martinez, has died. Last Thursday, she was found in such shockingly poor health, doctors worried she wouldn't make it. And sadly, that has been the case. Alicia Barrera joins us live from the newsroom with what happens now.
Good afternoon, Ursula. Although it was initially said the charges of the 3 suspects could be upgraded, today during a virtual press conference, Sheriff Javier Salazar says charges will remain the same for all 3 of Martinez's children. 37-year-old Oscar Dominguez, 24-year-old Roxana Carrero, and 18-year-old Pedro Carrero each remain booked under an $85,000 bond and face 1 count of injury to a disabled individual causing serious bodily injury. Martinez was hospitalized Thursday when doctors explained she was so weakened she probably would not live. She did die Saturday afternoon due to her medical condition. All 3 adults were living with their mother, had allegedly received training to care for her, and were likely receiving benefits, according to Sheriff Salazar.
The suspects had received some sort of training from the state that they were supposed to try to administer some of the treatments at home between treatments where she was going to be taken in. And then they were supposed to log in the treatments on an iPad that was provided to them by the state as well. to keep track of her treatment. But my understanding is that none of it was tracked.
Sheriff Salazar says if homicide investigators find more evidence that would link the 3 adults to murder, charges for each individual could then be upgraded. Sheriff Salazar says 2 providers are also being investigated. Those are Alamo City Dialysis and Magnolia Hospice Services, as they did make note of several signs of neglect, including Miss Martinez showing up to her medical appointment with no shoes and only a T-shirt. Reporting live, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
The Isaiah Factor.
Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. We begin with a report that will leave you ticked off. How could someone ever treat their mother like this? 3 adults are facing charges after letting their mother die from neglect, essentially rotting from the inside out. We take you to San Antonio for this story. 57-year-old Patricia Martinez was disabled and bedridden in her home.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. We begin with a report that will leave you ticked off. How could someone ever treat their mother like this? 3 adults are facing charges after letting their mother die from neglect, essentially rotting from the inside out. We take you to San Antonio for this story. 57-year-old Patricia Martinez was disabled and bedridden in her home. Her 3 children, Oscar Dominguez, Pedro Carrera, and Roxana Carrera, were supposed to be taking care of her. Investigators say they essentially ignored their dying mother. Police were tipped off to horrific living conditions at the woman's home last week. Now, once they arrived, they found insects infested all around her bedroom, and the woman actually had mold. Hear me, mold growing on her skin. Patricia Martinez was taken to the hospital for treatment, but it was too late. She died. My guests are unpacking this horrible story tonight. Our guests are here on The Factor Uncensored tonight to talk about this horrible case of neglect out of San Antonio. Dr. Adiemo, how does someone get so neglected that they have mold growing on their skin? Apparently, Patricia Martinez had been so neglected, and she had adult children living with her. So how do you get to a point where you have mold growing on your skin?
So how that happens is there's actually bacteria on your body. There's bacteria in your system, and your body's protecting you from it. So when we talk about these antibodies and this immune system becoming compromised, what happens is that your body can't defend itself from those pathogens. So you have urinary tract infections, sepsis, and so on and so forth. So mold is a fungus. And if you go in nature, you see these mushrooms that are growing on these dead things and decomposing it. So if a fungus is growing on a living individual, that means that fungus basically thinks that that person is dead and is decomposing the person as they live.
That's all you had to say. That's all you had to say.
Yeah.
And
so that's a lot of medical
be
talk.
So neglectful as adult children, Mish. These are adult children, 20, 30, 30 years old. And they are sitting their asses in that damn house, watching their mother waste away.
Yeah.
This was one of the sickest things I think you have ever approached me to talk about. We've gone through a lot of stuff together. This one took me back. I'm not going to lie. This one made me go and ask myself, who determined that the 18-year-old, the 24-year-old, and the 37-year-old were fit in the first place to be mom's caregivers? Because they got assistance from the state. They were given equipment by the state. They were even given an iPad to help monitor, track, and administer medications and food and rotate bathing and clothing. So when you go back to the beginning, or at least maybe not the beginning, but when you do go back, who said that that trio of people was fit to take care of mom? I am so not trying to be disrespectful, but just looking at their images, I'm not sure they were taking really great care of themselves.
I want to know their mental capacity, and are they able to do it?
Exactly. Well, how did we
and if so, and if it's that, then the state should be held culpable as well. If you knew you had people in that house incapable of taking care of this woman, and you put the job on them anyway.
Exactly. And this is a community issue too. This isn't just about the state. It isn't just about the kids. This is a larger community issue. And I think Adeyemo was headed over there. We're talking about back in the day, we used to check up on each other. Everyone knew what everyone else was up to. Today, isolationism is the way to go. Quarantine took care of that. They put that final nail in the coffin. I'm over here doing me. You're over there doing you. Please stay out of my space. We need to get back to checking on each other.
Doctor, you wanted to chime in really quick, and you're exactly right, Mitch.
You're right, absolutely right. And so the one of the things that we say is healthcare is that the most important word in healthcare is the word care. You cannot do healthcare without caring about people, and negligence is a lack of care. So the pandemic that we have is this lack of care, and it started with the Industrial Revolution, where the end of the extended family, where people are not checking on each other, down to the nuclear family, and then with COVID, with isolation and quarantine, like you guys mentioned as well. So there's actually 15.7% of elderly that are going through abuse. 4.2% to 12% of them are going to be neglected. And there are so many things that we can do to stop that, whether it be life alert systems, whether it be calling them, checking on home physical therapy, home hospice, food delivery, social networks, and so on and so forth. So the problem that we have is that there is no system. I mean, the state has so many resources that if you see elder abuse, if you guys want resources, I can provide some. But the state has so many resources to stop this elder abuse from happening. But we see that, especially in lifesavers, we're always seeing the end of everybody's bad decisions in medicine. So we always try to stop it. And our job is not necessarily to just say, this is one problem, but to actually say that this is an example of what's been going on through the society. So if we look at COVID, we noticed that most of the patients that came into the hospital that died were coming from nursing homes, coming from assisted living facilities, were having immunocompromised. And we weren't talking about the societal issues that caused this pandemic. So when we talk about pandemics, we actually have to talk about a pandemic and the lack of care of one another. And that's one of the things that we want to highlight as part of the medical system.
All right. Go ahead. We want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. This is one of those piss me off stories, Mission. We'll definitely follow up and see what happens. And I want to know the capacity, the mental capacity of these adults in the house. If they were just lazy as hell or they just couldn't do it. But thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. Thank you, Doctor. Such a sad situation there.
I always appreciate his take on matters, straight to the point, you know.
Well,
always
is
can
now
appreciate that
afraid of
about him.
himself.
Hold on just a sec. There we go. All right. So yeah, man, this is a very heartbreaking story. I just I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. But I guess, before I get out of here, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll be dropping content. As you all know, I've been doing a lot of premiering. There'll be times when I may get a moment. Boom, I do a quick record vlog, boom, and I'll premiere that video real quick. So I'll continue doing that. But mostly though, definitely at this point, pretty much I've got about a couple weeks worth of podcasts already queued up. So there will be one premiering each night at 10 o'clock. I'm going to play around with different times, to see what's, play around with it a little bit. But also I am working on finalizing some of the merch ideas that I've talked about in the past. I've already, we've got white girl shirts, right? White lady t-shirts and sweaters and stuff like that, and Interloper Nation gear and all that sort of a thing. But I am going to be slapping, some other merch together. So I will be actually cutting, I won't go into details, but I will let you all know when that's ready to go. I'm actually building that out right now as we speak, and I expect that to be done within the week, basically. Lots of good things coming. And so I definitely think it's time to walk around with some Lee Q shirts for sure, and sweatshirts, you know what I'm saying, and represent what we're doing here. I mean, the Lee Q brand is growing like crazy. Even just on the backup Lee Q channel, just this week, I got a little alert on my little analytics or whatever. And then for me, I mean, these are all great things, I've got a pretty nice following across social media on different platforms, whatever. But it's kind of cool that on the backup channel, just in the last 7 days, it's gotten 30,000 views, which is like pretty fucking amazing. And I mean, you look at the on the main channel, well over 1 million views, and it's lifetime views. We finally hit over that. Something to note: if your videos are on private, your view count on the about section won't be accurate. So any videos that you private, those views will be deducted. So that's why right now you don't see any on my main channel, because I took all of my videos down as I'm transitioning, right? I've kind of got, I think how I'm going to sort of do things is my like exclusive content, not really like the newsy stuff of the cases that I cover, but the more exclusive type content that I do, where I'll, a lot of the alien content, UFO type content, where I'm literally scraping together to get, to build an actual production, that sort of a thing, right? That stuff I feel like can be provided to my supporters first, right? So that's where that's going to eventually go. And right now, I'm not charging to access any of the podcasts. I want to build up the audience. But man, I'm trying to take this brand in a whole way big, different direction. And the only way that I feel like I'm going to be able to do that is if I stick to topics. Now, I'll fuck around on Interloper Nation from time to time. I will, if I have to reach down once in a while and slap a bitch, or if I, I have to come off the porch once in a while, I may hit that Interloper Nation channel and hit that live button. But man, literally, I've got a crime and investigation channel just in itself that I publish content to. We're over 1,000 users there, which is awesome. We've got our paranormal unknown, and that kind of content is absolutely fascinating. I've always loved doing that type of content. Not to mention even, just talking about like serial killers and things that have happened historically in the past, right? That are things that, I mean, it's all about feeding the brain, in my opinion. But yeah, I want to kind of get a little bit more exclusive with, my peeps. I want to get the Discord popping again. We definitely still have the Discord. I just had to kick folks, unfortunately, because I, had folks trolling, a specific individual trolling around, and there's no guarantee you can keep individuals out. But during that time, I had to do what I had to do, right? Because, man, there's some real crazy, whacked out people out here, man. There'll be people that'll be literally operating under like 3 and 4 accounts talking to you, right? And they're like, you think they're 3 or 4 different people, but they're really just one person, It's just crazy. It's really more embarrassing for them, right? They think they're doing something, I guess, to the person, to the content creator, but I don't know how, because you're the one spending and wasting your motherfucking time doing all that shit. Like, god damn. I'm going to talk to you under 4 different accounts. I'm going to hate on you from one. I'm going to tell you I love you from another. It's like weird. It's weird as fuck, but that's what goes on in this YouTube world. And it's like the bigger you get, the more you got to shut it down. I'm about to take crime and investigations up out of here. Until next time,